Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live 888-994-4995 Studio A. And now onto the show.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday. I haven't been here for a couple of weeks. I forgot what day of the week it was. Hi, guys. Okay, so I was going to talk a little bit about myself, but you know what? We've got some more interesting news coming on with all the news with the aliens. So let's have lots of questions about the... I've been on my planet. I can't laugh because I hurt my ribs. Okay, no, I wasn't. I was on this planet. I stayed on this plane. But I'm happy to answer questions about the planets.
What were you going to say about yourself?
I was just going to talk a little bit about what happened to me. Not now, how I became the way that I am.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, well, we'll leave. I've got to leave that to the next show. Anyone that's tuning in now, as we had mentioned on that show, we were going to talk about aliens. So it's very much in the news. And I believe it was even on ESNP, or am I all right?
ESPN.
ESPN. I'm dyslexic. I can say that out loud. Yes, they talked about something about aliens on there, that they'd seen them or something. I'm not sure. I didn't see it, but people were calling me. Okay, so am I all right looking at the camera now? Yes. I was looking
the
at
one with the duck.
Okay, anybody, questions.
Before we go to the questions, I want to get your take on what happened up in Boston over the weekend.
That loud noise?
Yes. What is that?
What did they say it actually was? It was a meteorite.
Something came through the sound barrier.
Okay, which is very interesting because a lot of people were very scared. But I think a lot of things that we're seeing or will be seeing, even to power the going out, they're working on us opening our minds a little bit to what could that be. I have to look at you. I can't. It's very difficult. Okay. A lot of people are questioning things. Okay, I've got to look at a duck. Okay. Okay, that's fine. A lot of no, this is serious. I'm not usually doing this on my show. Okay, a lot of people are questioning things. I can tell you that could have been a meteorite, but it also could have been something else. You know what? There's a lot of spaceships up there. And I was listening to a program on television the other day because I'm getting really, really into this, and I know that I've been abducted many times, is that they actually, some have landed here, which we know that too, which I know of, but they don't want, if it's in a place which is populated, they're apparently putting buildings up around it. So you can walk into a building, you're not meant to, it'll have do not trespass, and you can see a spaceship there. So to me, more and more people are hearing this, whether it's true or whether it's false. At this point in time, I don't think it really matters because we need to open our minds to the fact that they have arrived. And the movie is coming out soon with Steven Spielberg. What is it? Disclosure. So please.
So you don't think the media's had any message? Had no.
Well, I don't believe it did. I think the message for that, because so many people were scared, I think they're trying out, this is just coming to me, they're trying things out to see how we react. Now, I'm not certain that that could have been the reason, but a lot of people heard that loud bang. Did they ever see anything coming down at that point? I don't know. I really don't know.
Nobody's talking about it. That's why I'm asking you.
No, they're not. But they keep a lot of everything that's going on undercover. I mean, if you think back, it was a couple of years ago that they saw aliens in Miami. A lot of people know that story, but it was never, I don't believe, covered in the news. I think tiny print something. Because people are not, what's happening, and I was certainly one of those people many years ago, although I've always been interested in what's going on in the skies, is that we've got to train our mind a little bit to look beyond what we see here. And they're trying out certain things because people have said, you know, all of a sudden, if we realize that, they're going to question religion, they're going to question many, many different things. So that could have, for some reason, I'm getting that was a test to see how people were going to, I don't know, and I'm not sure that I'm even getting this message. This is coming from me, to see what would happen with this loud bang. And people got scared with that loud bang.
How do you think people will respond to Spielberg's movie that's coming out in a couple of weeks?
A lot of people are not, well, I think he's also, I was reading an article that he actually has said part is fiction and some is fact, but don't quote me on that. That's me talking again too. But I think that it's very good for people to understand, even if they think it's fiction, that it will question, you question yourself, what's going on? You know what, maybe we even get remembrance, because I believe we, you know, obviously in past lives, and at this point I'm sure my audience does too, we go back a long, long way. We don't know that. We just see what we hear in history in schools. However, Earth has been around thousands and thousands of years. So at that time, there were people coming down here to Earth from rocket ships. I would not have believed this when I first heard it, but however, and I would have said, what are you, crazy? But I was drawing. When I started to draw, and that's what's a little bit that I was going to talk about myself, one of the first things that I started to draw, and I had never drawn in anything in my life, so in middle age I start drawing. One of the first things that I was sketching was spaceships. You've seen them. So, I mean, not in person, but you saw my drawings. So.
Jay Harmon is here, and he's an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wanted to know what separated an artist from a common person.
I don't believe that if that's directed, I mean, I don't believe that we're separated. I think that artists have, maybe because they paint, and you can attest to this, we have a strong imagination. Mm-hmm. And that's all that really is, to have that, to have an open mind. Because when I started to draw, I didn't know what I was drawing, but I kept an open mind. I was looking at things that looked crazy even to me. But your imagination we get carried away with sometimes, especially my.
No, it's all about imagination. It's all about using your.
Absolutely, but which is meaning that you're using, maybe it's not another sense, but we're actually using something a little more because we're putting it on paper. So that's, I think people say, oh, well, you're an artist. It doesn't mean that you're different. You may be a little different to the person that's talking to you because they're not an artist.
Right. It's just that artists look at things a little differently, and that's how it.
Right.
Just how it is, because they see things that in a way that other people don't really see them.
Out of the box. I love that expression.
Right.
Because especially people who've seen my art, it's definitely out of the box on canvas.
But do you really think that some of those paintings of extraterrestrial scenes was your imagination, or you were being led to do that?
Well, I only just, 22 years later, Steve, I have them hanging up in the house, right? I have these paintings with these big eyes. I didn't even know what I was painting. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm hearing them saying, you suddenly now know you were painting us? Because whenever you see anything now on aliens, a lot of them have really big eyes. I even know I flew to other planets. I know, and I admit that I was abducted. I didn't know I was drawing them. Now I know it. I was painting them, not drawing. I was painting them. They're everywhere in the house, right? These big eyes looking at us. I'm not looking at me.
So let me ask you a question, Sally. If you knew, to go on what Steve asked you, if you knew you were traveling and you knew you saw the aliens, can you take yourself back to one of your travels, back to one of their planets or homes where they're living, and hear what they have to say?
You know something, nothing is, it's all synchronicity. We all know exactly kind of what we're doing here and what we're saying. I have just been studying that myself because I'm thinking, I wrote down that I visited planets. I know that I saw a top secret place, which I now know was AI 20 years ago. We didn't know AI 20 years ago. And I'm going back to that. And I also know that I need to ask where I didn't at that time because it just came to me, I was going all over the place. But I now know that I can train myself, not by anybody else, but I did it, to go back to these planets. And you just brought that up. So when I go to sleep now, or in my form of meditation, I'm going to ask to go see what I saw on the planet that I believe that was AI today. And then I can bring back what I've seen, not just that I saw it, but their conversations with me. I couldn't get into that, my conversation, which I know, I think I wrote it in my book also, I'm not sure, that when I went to the planet where they showed me, it was all like wires and everything. They didn't necessarily want me to enter. And this is really absolutely 100%, I see it as if I was there now. And my guide who was taking me, he wanted me to go in there. And he said, I don't know, word for word, what he said to me, which dreaming, but it wasn't. I don't know if we can get you in here. And I think I brought this up once before. I had to use some sort of a credit card. But in my mind, I only knew of a credit card. I don't know what that was that he gave me, but he put it in and I was able to see everything. That's one of the places I definitely want to revisit.
Yeah, maybe you can ask them, are they here, or what? How do we work together? Not what they want, because they're here for a reason.
Absolutely. Well, they're here now. I mean, I was taken then, but it wasn't. Yeah, well, there's many of them. They're here. I believe a lot of them come into, they're saving our planet. They know we have nuclear weapons. They know all this. If you see, many years ago, they have seen sightings over the nuclear sites, which everybody says now it's not possible. Well, not everybody. There's a lot of people that today, especially, that do believe it. They're wanting to see what we're doing here, because they don't want us to just disappear, because I'm going ahead of myself. We are them, actually, and they are us. So we have DNA in us. Some people a lot more, as we know that. So they have remembrance of these things. I had to have done, because why was I drawing this? So I would like to hear more of the conversations. I can remember some of them, but I'm going to go for that purpose, to see what they're saying.
So you remember some of the conversations?
Oh, yeah.
What
yeah.
do you remember?
Well, it wasn't all about, it was also, well, I remember, some of it actually is in my book. If anyone really wants to know, and I can remember what I remember sitting here, but I remember talking to many people. And I do remember the biggest one was this top secret. I said when I came back, it's some sort of intelligence, but I didn't know about AI. But what I'm hearing too, because I'm so interested in it, they were very far advanced. What we know with AI is absolutely nothing. They are tremendously, I'm going to say thousands of years ahead of us. Look how far we've come in even 100 years. You know, actually I was reading something, they said, we're not going to Earth because I think they still have horse and carts. So it said, no, they've got a little beyond that. That was just a joke, see. But it's interesting, and they're just advanced human beings. Now, some of the races are more advanced than others. We're obviously a new planet where we are right now. But I have no qualms at all in talking about it today. I am perfectly normal. For everybody around here, they've seen me without talking this way. And there are many, many people, for our viewers out there, if you've experienced anything at all, or I get a flying sensation, call in, because if I can be of any help to people that don't know what's going on, I'd be happy to try and explain to you what happened to you. So anybody listening, if you feel that you've had what they call an out-of-body, or you're flying around the place, which I was lucky enough to have someone come into my life the day after it happened. That was kind of unique. I mean, Aldo came into my life the next day, and I'd known him for 3 years. So how in the world, or 2 years, could I have had that happen? I wanted it. I didn't even know that I was asking for that, but he appeared my first day being a different person. How in the world could that be something other? That was synchronicity.
So do you think that's psychic? Do you think that's extraterrestrial? Or are they one and the same?
Well, not everybody that's psychic maybe has been abducted or have talked to aliens. Sure. But and vice versa, not everybody that's alien is definitely has become psychic. I absolutely know that, because I mean, I had within me psychic abilities, but nothing like I have today. Because when I went there, and they've worked on me, I even woke up one time, which I'm happily talk about today, because you'll say, you know, Sally wasn't crazy. Okay, I was in a table, and I actually woke up, me as a person woke up from wherever I was, and it was a lady working on me, and she said, go back to sleep, it's okay, go back. And they put me back to wherever I was. So I have vivid remembrance of that.
What do you think they were doing?
That I don't know. They were working on my face or something. They were doing, or maybe it was my brain, I don't know. But as I'm talking here now, I remember laying on I thought I was in my home because I didn't know better than that. I thought, but I think I was visited and I went, which many people talk about today, I was in one of their spaceships. It happens all the time. It's been going on, it's always been going on. But now people are talking about it.
So you think Star Trek is someone, who did it, Gene Roddenberry?
Yes.
Steven Spielberg. Do you think these two greats in media and production knew something that not everybody knew?
Well, there were people even way back when, if we talk about Star Trek, when it first came out many years ago, they absolutely did know, but they use a lot of these things that are happening today are in fiction, as we were just talking about, are in cartoons, because it was an easier way to get it out into, people will get, oh, they think it's woo-woo, the people in the tin hats and everything. But no, it's been around. It's just kept very, very secret amongst a certain select people that knew about it. But some of this has gotten out on, especially Gaia. I don't know so much on YouTube, but there are many programs, they call them whistleblowers, that are coming out. Of course they've been here. They've got the files. I believe some of the files have been already out now. Not as secretive as the Epstein files. I don't know, either one is secret.
Well, that's another one, the Epstein file. I think Max has a question.
Well, I want to know, I'm wondering what you think, if aliens are tourists, scientists, invaders. I mean, are they, what are they?
They're one of each. They're amongst us. They're not the groups that come down just like us. They're coming from another planets. It's not just one planet. I believe we're going to be visited when we are from about 4 or 5 different planets. But the ones that are more looking like us will come down here. But they're already working amongst us. People just don't know that. There are many of them working in the governments, in places where they can, whatever they're doing, they can use their expertise, and they've had many ships that have, well, I don't say many, but some have crashed here. They're in every kind of profession, but they're more drawn to, I believe, I guess that was, they're more drawn to places where they can, I'm not going to say manipulate, but they may be useful.
Well, so they're not always maybe doing bad things.
Well,
right?
No, the majority are good. I will
Okay.
say that. However, there are you have to have the balance. So there are bad and good, just like there are here. So a lot of the bad ones, so to speak, are the ones that don't want this to come out, because they control, let's say they control us. So the more that we suddenly come out with all this, we don't want everybody to know what we can do or where we're from. But on the other hand, there's the good ones, to put it more like we're here as humans on Earth, that come in to show us that we're all right, we're your friends, we want to help you save this planet, we don't want to scare you. And there are many things that they can come out with, and I think I did bring this out the other day, but I absolutely know that there is free energy. Well, they don't want us to look at the money that's involved with free energy. They know about it. The other planets, the best I know and what I've seen, have free energy. So that's one of the things they definitely want to keep undercover. There are people, many people in the governments or in various places definitely know that they exist. And they have done even from the 40s, or even before that. People are saying from the 40s, they knew even before that.
So about a year ago, you and I attended an exhibit about all the ancient pharaohs of Egypt, and all the things that were built, the pyramids, the Sphinx, the cities that were built. Do you think aliens had a hand in that?
Well, yeah, they they trained us. If we go back to what we call the Sumerian, years, which is not, I don't believe they teach this in history, I'm not sure, but it's actually in the Bible, where they actually came down here and they helped build a lot of things, but they want to go into a whole long thing, and I don't know, I have no time really to give the whole story, but basically in a few minutes, they came down because they wanted for their planet some of the minerals, especially gold, that we had, so they came here. they walked amongst us. There are still things, they taught us things. I say us, the people who are around on the planet. But what they did is they didn't particularly want to do all the hard work. So there were few humans around, and I don't want anybody that's super religious probably isn't watching my show anyway, because I don't want to contradict the Bible in any way. But they'll say, well, we're super religious, we're going back to our religion at this point. But they came down here to help us. But what they did is they trained us to do these things, but we didn't know. But eventually they weren't meant to at that time, but they intermarried with humans. So a lot of that DNA was developing into what we call humans today. And they helped build the pyramid. How in the world did the pyramids get built? I mean, they question that many times. Many of these things, they didn't have the equipment for the pyramids. Let's use that because it's heavy equipment. You can explain it away that you had all these hundreds of people building all these slats, things on the pyramids. But they're finding out now, they're realizing that. And the story of them coming down here is getting more well known too. So all these things really need to be said, need to be talked about, so that people get inquisitive enough to start doing research on other things other than just, what goes on in everyday life, and unfortunately wars, which take us away from the whole thing. There's been wars ever since forever, right? As to distract us from what
But if you think back to Star Trek, there were wars between the planets.
And I think that does exist too. I mean, that's what I'm hearing too. If a war can be civilized, I don't know. They have their problems. Just because they're from another planet doesn't mean that they don't have part of them that, will still carry these things out. But this planet, this one, Earth, is bad. Not bad, but bad with wars, bad with all these things. So, but that's, I don't want to say too much, but that's kind of man-made in a way, because we are controlled by people that don't want to get out what they can do. They don't want us to know that we could suddenly stop wars. Look at the money, apart from anything else, that people could have that goes onto all these things, the bombs and everything that they're doing today. It's sad, but the good aliens want us to know. The bad ones don't. It's as simple as that, actually, good and bad. The bad ones will keep the wars going and all the things to distract us and teach us things in school that we're never going to use, we don't need. But the things that we need to know is the history, true history of our planet.
So how do we keep the ones that are telling the true story around and dismiss the ones that are just taking advantage of it?
By beginning to what they call wake up, Freddie. That's a good question, and it's a very logical question, because people can ask that, how we know. By taking notice of what's going on, by people that tell stories as I had told to me and understand it more, because the more you hear it, the more you'll understand it. It's a different way of looking at life, but it's an important way of looking at life. They don't teach in schools. Maybe one day they will talk about the true history of Earth. That was a good question.
Well, so what do you think might confuse aliens about humans? Like
Us.
just
Literally us, because they don't understand what in the world we're doing. Now, they have kind of wars, a space war, but they don't treat, we treat each other really badly. Even the good people here treat each other badly, because that's what we're fed. We're fed, you turn on the television, you look at the news. It's all what I would call a lower vibrational energy. We need to lift we're energy. We need to lift that energy up to a higher vibration, because not only is it going to be better, we're going to feel better. We won't get as sick as we do. Disease is from all this too. This is all planned to keep us. If you think about it, and you don't even have to believe it, but think about how much we're given with all this bad information, sad information. People go to war and get killed. Eventually, if you suddenly from another planet and you didn't know and you saw that, you think we were crazy. That's what they think. But they don't want us to blow ourselves up. That's happened, there was, of Atlantis. They did that. They don't want that to happen. I believe a lot of people, this is getting off the subject slightly, that here today that have the DNA from Atlantis, So a lot of that, and
Cool.
absolutely that's coming to me. They've reincarnated on Earth today. Oh my gosh, this is so that they will save us, because they don't want to go through what Atlanteans went through when they were
that's
blown up.
fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any other like species or people that they have anything to tell us about that don't exist anymore?
Well, they'll tell us about. You mean other people
I
coming?
mean, like other. I mean, there's. I'm trying to remember, like the Mayans. you
Yeah, well, the
know.
Mayans knew a lot, and,
Okay.
and actually part of which, you know, from my artwork, I was drawing a lot of Mayans. I did the Mayan calendar. I didn't even know what I was drawing. It took Aldo to say to me, "You've just drawn the Mayan calendar," because they said in the year, was it 2011, that we would change when everybody thought, "Oh my goodness, what's going to happen?" That understood or knew. It wasn't that. We had a change in our own consciousness. I'm just gone to sleep. But that's okay. So what happened, I must be pretty boring.
I think it's fascinating because there's all
Yeah,
sorts of cultures that that.
Well, we're unique in a way. The
Okay.
Western world doesn't, anybody outside of here, and you go to Japan, you go to India, is a very good example. They know these stories. They just we have never been able to accept a lot of these stories. I was one of those people. What I learned in school wasn't any of this. It took me to begin to, as they call getting awake, was I was sketching all these things from things that I had never seen in my life. So I thought from this lifetime I hadn't seen them. But rocket ships is a very good thing. I was talking to Aldo. He knew. I said, but he let me try to find out for myself. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been like, well, in fact, I drew. I said, this is a way station. I didn't even know what a way station was for rocket ships. And I put all the rockets in the ship. That was when and I couldn't draw a thing. But when I woke up from what happened to me, all these things came back to me. I didn't know at the time. I just didn't really take too much notice. I was just drawing all this.
That's so cool.
Getting back to the wars you were speaking about a little while ago, if they're aware that we're killing each other, if they didn't want us to do that,
Okay.
do they have the power to stop it?
No, they have the power, but they won't, because we have free will. And what we do is our free will. They can explain to us and they can tell us what's going on. They cannot intervene. That's one of the things that, unless we give permission. If we give that permission for them or individually, yes, they can. But they're not allowed to mess with our free will.
Who is it that would give them permission?
We would ourselves. If they said they wanted to help us, say they come in and there's an alien standing right there who had all this information. He can tell us, or she can tell us what's going on, but they can't intervene to stop. They go around the nuclear sites. They can't, we are on timelines, and our timeline and our human mentality has what they call free will. So in order to do something, all we can say is, all they need to say is actually ask for help. They can then do that at that particular time.
So if they've been around for ages and ages, and they've been around through all the bad periods in our history,
Right.
Even though they might have had the power to stop them, they didn't, and just wanted to.
Weren't allowed to. There is a federation called the Galactic Federation that people know of the Galactic. They don't know what it is, but it's a federation that is here to, it's so called, they have their laws type of thing. People go to them and can ask the Galactic Federation if they're able to do that, but they've still got to come down to us or up, it doesn't matter where.
Like the United Nations?
Exactly, and we call it the Galactic, they call themselves the Galactic Federation. Anybody that's talking the way that I am will know what I'm talking about. Anybody listening will know. And they kind of, they go on to different timelines. They can foresee what we call the future, but it really isn't, because it's all happening. So that's why you can go into the past and into the future. That's very difficult to understand, but if you open your mind a little bit, I'm much better at understanding this than I was 4 or 5 years ago, because I've talked to myself about it. I hear it, so it's not all foreign. Same with disclosure, it has to be that way. Eventually your mind will accept a lot of these things. but they look around, they're very aware, the Galactic Federation, of what we're doing. And many people that can time travel, we call it whatever you want, astral project, whatever, they can go and visualize. They talk to the Galactic Federation.
All right, you want to take a commercial break?
Okay. Yeah. Oh, remote viewing. That's what I was trying to say.
Remote viewing.
Yeah.
She's going to take a commercial break. You
Yeah.
can find Sally on Call Me Zena on YouTube and Facebook, and you can get her book at Author House and Amazon.com. More to come.
Thank you.
You'll be right back.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came into the U.S. in 1979. A mother of 2 and a grandmother of 4, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the 3rd dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest into art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed a paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she is able to astral a project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life and direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today, authorhouse.com and amazon.com.
Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book at authorhouse and amazon.com or visit my art on my clothing in my boutique at artbysallybarnard.com. Now back to the show.
You're back.
Hi, I'm back. Well, I really never left, except to go to that place. Okay, so we have some questions, Dawn, correct?
Max, you have more questions?
Yeah, you're asking some very interesting questions.
I have one more. I lost my place. Wait, can you ask
Well,
your
you're
question
still in line.
first?
That's okay.
Absolutely. How might various religious and spiritual traditions respond to evidence of life beyond Earth? Do you think it will change the scope of religion as people know it now?
It will eventually. At first, everybody that doesn't understand this at all, and there's still a lot of people that don't, are going to be scared. And then they're going to start questioning, and then they're going to say, well, why was it kept from us? But to be fair to a lot of people that have kept it from us, they don't want the mass hysteria. They've got to, well, there is disclosures coming out. That's Steven Spielberg. If you look at all the movies that he's made, people will react differently. The ones that are super religious, and I'm not questioning religion in any way, but they definitely see life a different way. So they will have a hard time, absolutely. If I hadn't known what I know now, what happened to me, and I've actually visited these places, if I didn't know it, I totally understand that can happen. To me, it doesn't bother me at all. I think it's wonderful.
Do you think the multiple dimensions that you talk about, the parallel lives, the time shifting, the time traveling, is all part of the extraterrestrial life?
Oh yes, because they can come to us. There's portals. I always get the word wrong, and they open up throughout Earth, so they can get. Even now, I'm just beginning to understand that. I've talked about these things for years, but I see it all. It doesn't take them long to get here. They fly amongst us. They're here.
So it would change people's reality of knowing that you can shift time zones, you can shift parallel lives, all the things that you've always talked about. Suddenly
are coming real. But the question here is that I feel that most of the planets, obviously the ones visiting, are way ahead of us. So they know all about us. I don't think there's many planets like us. We're comparatively, although we're thousands of years old, a new planet. But people have been on these planets that are here, and they're the ones that are going to suddenly say, this makes sense. I have a remembrance of this. Oh my gosh, I was just talking about Atlantis. I remember being there. I remember I was so-and-so. You know what is a good idea, which I'm definitely going to do, although I went back into previous lives, one in particular with Aldo because he could read me, is for people to go and have previous lives read and know that they were possibly around when these things happened before. So you may not be as scared. You'll say, oh my gosh, I remember when. Because your memory will hold, the subconscious will.
Do you think there was an Atlantis?
Oh, absolutely. And then I think Edgar Casey was one of the writers about this that said Atlantis would show itself eventually anyway. And I believe in this century. Definitely.
What is the purpose of all this, though, Sally?
Of what?
I mean, we have a life. We do what we're supposed to do. What
Oh,
we're
I
not
see.
supposed to do. What's the end game on this?
Well, that's a really good question, Freddie, because I look at life, or anybody that has taken on the challenge, I call, of life to find out more. We're playing to understand more a game. Can you just give me the end part of that, please? I lost my.
What's the end game? What is?
Okay.
I mean, you think about all of this work that's gone into this.
Yes.
All of the secrecy, all the information, the back and forth, the placing, for what?
Well, that's a question that us humans would ask because we don't know better. But when you begin to understand more of this and open up and see the aliens and able to go to other planets, you're going to see how much better our lives could be without all we're messed with in this planet. We are controlled on our planet. So we need to wake everybody up so that they know there's far more of people, what I call asleep, than the ones that have chosen to control us and have woken up. It's like a numbers game. Wake up and we'll see that we can have a better life. We're playing a game. However, having said that, we've chosen this lifetime. We've chosen this lifetime. We choose everything. Nothing is just happening. It's all being planned. So we want to play the game too. We're having fun, but we can't see we're having fun here because you work from 9 to 5 or you're so tied up with bills. There's another way to live our life to have more fun. We don't do that here.
So what would it take for the different groups, religion, the political world,
The schooling?
for them to embrace the aliens when they finally...
Well, people like myself that are talking, that are not scared of bringing this. I mean, I wasn't scared. I brought it up in the studio that I'd been abducted, like 3 years ago or 2 years ago. But many people are scared. They don't know what's happening to them. So the more people, and I believe that when all this comes out, you'll get tons of people saying, I believe I was abducted. I believe I saw an alien. I think I talked to an alien. But it's so undercover right now. Do we want another 100 years of all these wars and everything?
Don't you think it's going to take a whole lot more than a movie coming out?
Oh, of course, Steve, of course. But it's one step at a time. We're getting a movie out now that he can actually say part of this isn't fiction. He wrote a lot of these movies. He used it as fiction as far as I know. I watch many programs on Gaia because I'm really interested in this, or on YouTube too. You can find them on YouTube, where scientists are coming out. They're giving you explanations for all these things. So more and more people have had these things happen to them, but they don't know what happened to them.
Do you see this happening in our lifetime?
Well, yeah, that I've questioned that with myself. I would like to stay around for complete disclosure. I don't know because I'm pretty old, but I'll come back. I'll come back to a new world eventually. I think disclosure is going to be within the next couple of years. Definitely disclosure in a few weeks when his movie comes out. More and more people will get to say, well, you know what? I saw that. I've drawn them. So, I mean, I was not even questioning myself. I kind of said, oh, well, I've drawn an alien. But I didn't know what I know, and this has taken me 23 years.
That's interesting. All right, so looking ahead, do you believe humanity's relationship with the extraterrestrial intelligence, what do you think it's going to look like in the next 10 or 20 years?
Well, if all goes as planned, okay, we're going to have a much easier life. But we've got to go through, and this has come to me many times, and many people talk about this too. We've got to go through the chaos first. So the world, if we can get through all this and pass on, which I'm going to call the new world because we're in a shift right now, and get through all this chaotic times and come out the other side okay, which if everybody could just raise their vibrations and pray for that because prayer works, then we're going to have a super nice world. It won't be as tough as it is today. So the world will look different. We'll have, I can't tell you what AI, I mean, look how far we've come just with AI in the last couple of years, really. I mean, everybody's got chat as a friend, right?
That is true.
And there are many other ones too. But I think he's the one that's most popular right now.
ChatGPT.
Yeah,
So you think this is part of what you learned when you were traveling?
I think I was shown all this, absolutely, but I'm going back 20 years. Even Aldo said to me, I've got things to tell you. Unfortunately, he passed. But he did explain or gave me books to read that helped me a lot to understand this. And then he'd talk to me after I'd read the books because I had questions like everybody has. And he would explain to me in detail over hours and hours of talking to me what I had just read about. And my questions were important, just as my questions to me are important for me to hear them, because I've got some idea, he had some idea where I was coming from. He couldn't suddenly say to me, I'm this way one day and the other way the next. I had changed, but it still took me a long, long time to get to where I am now.
Do you think this is part of the fifth dimension that everyone talks about?
Yes, we're actually going into the fifth dimension now, and not everybody is going to, it's a higher vibrational energy. But I heard this and it makes absolute sense to me. It's not going to be all peaches and cream and all these nice things. We're still going to have problems because we're still on a learning thing here. But we're in the fourth, which is figuring it all out, going into the fifth. But the people that are really on a higher energy are going to make it. I'm not saying the others are going to pass.
What's going to happen to those that don't?
Yes, well, that's what I was just going to say. They'll still be here, but nothing too much will have changed. But we've got the opportunity to go into the fifth dimension now because we're going through a shift. I don't want to scare people and say this planet won't be here, because even if it's not, there's still a home for us on another planet that's just like this one.
Then it's fourth against fifth.
Well, the
It's
fourth
those
is...
that see against those that can't.
Well,
We're
eventually,
back to the
Freddie,
whole
yeah,
beginning.
no, because we're actually in a 3D, if you think it's 3-dimension, right? So you're going through the fourth, which we're going through now. The world is in a shift, going to higher vibrational energy. All it is the fifth, sixth, I think they're 12, I'm not sure, is a higher frequency. It's not even, let's not even call it a dimension. So when you lift this frequency and you hear wars suddenly, you're just not going to think about it's going to happen on your planet because we've raised our frequency slightly. So what happens, then you're getting more of people like I'm in the fifth dimension talking to you, but it doesn't mean to say that I'm there all the
But if I'm in
time.
the fourth dimension listening to you, how does it work?
Well, depending on how you're going to process it. It's all about how we see things. So the more that I repeat things to you or anybody, which was repeated to me, the more, and you're a good example of this, Steve, too, even if you're not really hardly listening. I don't mean that rudely, because I had that problem with Aldo. I used to go, oh, enough. But I heard it. So the more that you hear these things, it becomes more acceptable. So the remainder of the people, and I think half definitely will begin to understand, especially when aliens appear here. It'll be more acceptable and we can move this transition. We're going through a transition, but like with anything, it has to boil over, so to speak. There has to be chaos in order to come out on the other side.
I've come a long way since we're together. I mean, I never would have entertained any of this before you and
Right.
I, met. And so, I am learning. And what I'm learning is that we have to get a passing grade on the fourth dimension to be able to move into the fifth.
Well, yes, because you wouldn't even know, without understanding any of this, who would even know that there was a fifth dimension that we're going into, basically.
So when we, or you, or the group of people that have evolved go into the fifth dimension, if there's wars in the fourth dimension, the people in the fifth dimension, are they...
Well, they look at it differently. They still have problems there. I mean, it's different. It's like, I always like to say, what I don't know, you don't know, that type of thing. They still have, because we're all learning. Doesn't matter what dimension we're in. This is, to be on Earth, as to your question earlier, Freddie, we're here to learn, to wake up more and more and more. But wouldn't it be, my life has still got all the same things happening in it, but I'm gradually, and only gradually, and I talk about this, changing my perception. Do I want to be depressed? I have learned today even more than I was maybe even yesterday, that I want to correct my life so that I can live on a higher vibrational energy. Maybe there's certain foods that I'm not meant to eat. Or maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I wouldn't have even entertained what I'm doing today. I go out, you guys know that, and I love desserts, but I've trained myself, okay, there's desserts on the table. That's not going to help me because I can't have them or eat them. So I've trained myself, truthfully, I can't say not to like desserts, but to say I don't want desserts and I'm fine with it. I'm not 100% there, of course I'm not, but I'm nearly there. It's the same thing of learning. I don't understand this, I don't know it, but the more you hear it, the more you see it, your curiosity gets to you. You want to hear more. It takes work, what we're doing. This does not happen that easily. I had so many things happen to me overnight, even Aldo appearing the next day. I still couldn't understand. There's no way I could have understood what I did even 20 years from now. There's a whole lot I still don't know. A lot. It takes work. But if you don't start that journey, you're not even doing the work.
Jay, this makes any sense to you?
It does. It's we have to learn.
Correct.
Somebody, I'm sure someone has all the information, but we don't have all this information, and we just have to keep trying to learn it. If we want to learn it, if we want to be knowledgeable of it, we're going to have to find a way to learn it, and that information is going to have to be available to us somehow.
Well, go ahead.
Well, that's a great comment. And what if we never learn?
Well, there's no time. So if you don't learn it in this lifetime, I'm going to say even not the next 10 lifetimes from now, eventually you will. There is no time. We've manufactured time. We just stay where we are. Time goes by, past, present, and future. So incarnating each time, I'm here absolutely making up my mind. That's the rest of from here on in. I want to learn all the time. As much as I know what I know that much, Steve. When you're out of town, and you know this to be true, I watch YouTube and Gaia. I can't listen to anything else today. But I still have to ground myself. Doesn't mean I'm out there all the time.
I'm curious, and that's a good point that Steve pointed out. I'm curious, Jay, have you ever wanted to draw or paint or do some kind of artistic value to another plane?
Oh, something different, something extraterrestrial, something
Anything.
something far out like that. Yeah.
Even stars, it makes no difference because you're one of the best artists in America. I'm just curious to see if that's ever happened to you as a message.
Well, I mean, I've gotten ideas before. Where they come from, I don't know. I just know that I've worked on things just from ideas that I've gotten, and I don't know exactly where that comes from, but a lot of times the artwork that I have done lines up with other things that have happened or with other people's lives, and I didn't plan it. It just went that way.
It's like imagination, and Alfred usually, hear me say that a lot of times. This all stems from what is our imagination, because without that, anything actually that you can imagine can happen. But we need to learn more to broaden our scope so that we have more. We're imagining what we see, or we can say flying cars because we have a car. What did they say when they were on a horse? We need something, but we didn't know what a car would look like. It's exactly the same. That's a good analogy they just gave me, actually. Because if you're riding a horse, who knew to jump on a horse? They knew this seems like a horse will take us where we want. Mm-hmm. But there are many, many different levels. You can't suddenly go from a horse, nothing in between, and get on fly in an airplane. It won't happen. It's a gradual process. And every time we incarnate, if you begin to wake up in one lifetime, you can continue on your journey from where you left off. Now, I'm not a great example of that because I knew all this, as Aldo told me, in the 15th, 16th century, but I let it go dormant. but it came to me much quicker in this particular lifetime because I had Aldo to help me. He knew that I knew. He knew that I knew. How in the world could that be possible unless it was true, right? The day that all this happened, that night, the following day, he became my teacher. And we'd been working in the same building. That's the strangest part about it. Never came up until me. He knew I was ready because he came into my dream, which I thought at that time, and knew that he could start talking to me. I might have gone the whole lifetime without him if it was my choice. I had to know. I had to have something very strange happen to me to bring that man into my life. And he knew I was ready. We're not always ready. Although I had the information, he used to say to me, you know more than I know, but you just don't know it.
There was a little girl in the studio today making magic wands, and I told her all of my wands are stars. And she said, well, what if you hang them all from the ceiling and you look up and you would have a whole galaxy?
That's
and
good.
I thought, the next generation, they know more than we know. Or maybe we knew when we were their age and life and society just dumbed us down.
Well, they do that, Dawn. They're doing that. Now you can see, the more you begin to understand that. When Aldo started to talk to me about, quote, the controllers, I thought he was nuts. And he would go way back into history and give me a whole, like, for days he would explain to me what was going on. But although I knew it, I wasn't ready. I could only take in a little bit at a little bit. I can only say now, 20-something years later, thank you, Aldo. Because over the years since he's gone now, I'm learning more and more. And I'm not the only one that knows all this, thank goodness. I seem to be meeting people that do.
What do you think about people who are plant-based on food?
I think it's very important.
Because I think our bodies, if you think from Atlantis, you think we were from the sea, or you think different things of evolution, then our bodies know how to respond to different
Well, we're
foods.
having difficulty, as you know.
Besides
too.
all the Monsanto stuff. But if it's truly healthy from the ground.
Well, again, you know, so much is pushed upon us to keep us not clear, so to speak. Medicine, the regular doctors, I call them. But many doctors today are waking up to this too. You know that. They're saying, don't take that pill because, hey, just turn the TV on and listen to a pill. How many things do they tell you that it can cause? Are we crazy? I'll go out, they think they're selling us and telling us. It can cause a heart attack, it can cause this, it can cause whatever it is. All these pills do. Why would they? Because they know they can be sued because people are getting sick from pills. That's a very good example. So you can't do it altogether. And I'm telling people to do that. It's our choice. I chose through my life not to take pills that way. I don't want to. I'm on a few pills. I seem to always have high blood pressure. But even with the pills, it doesn't lower it. And I'm still walking around. I'm better off not to even take the pill.
They tell us on these ads, and this is the one thing that's just so silly, is that they tell us that do not take this medicine if you're allergic to it.
Yes. How stupid.
How
would
you know
exactly. Jay, we talk about that. But would you want to sell a product and I'd say, well, I'm selling these shoes. However, they're going to fall apart if you walk on them. It's not good leather. I mean, you're not going to buy it, right? And yet we buy into the pills. Because you know why? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I thought you were done.
No, I am. Go ahead.
The reason they have that disclaimer at the end of the ads is because their legal team has somehow told them that if you say this, we can cover our behind.
Yes, but the point though is they shouldn't have all these side effects. These pills.
Yeah, but he's talking about the end.
No, I understand that. But if I pick up something from the earth seems to be all right with it, right? So plant-based is now they can also add to plant-based too. You've got to be sure that you're eating just plant-based. All these things where you can take something and you can fly me to the moon type of thing. It's plant-based, but don't ever do that without supervision because they can also have a reverse effect.
True.
But to eat healthy, and I believe very much in this today, and it took a lot because I was suffering from allergies, which I knew, but I still went ahead and ate the food. And I still do a little. Well, I'm very careful today.
Well, so you plant-based is all good and all, but there are some really poisonous plants that can kill us.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, they are. We still got to figure that out too. But we're aware. Well, I don't know, years ago when they weren't. We know not. But the majority of plant-based is healthy for you. It's lighter. It's easier. You think about, well, we're eating animals. You know, even you start to think about it. I mean, there are many pros and cons to what I'm saying. So I don't, you know, but I myself am beginning to really wanting to understand more about that. They say a lot, if an animal is killed, their vibrational energy is in that animal, the way they kill it. So a lot of the chickens are farm, you know, they're like grass-fed. There's a lot to what we do that is keeping us low in a lower vibrational energy.
So it's not necessarily about maybe eating the animal itself, but the whole process is bad.
Look what they do. They breed animals. Well, I do also believe, and I did hear that from somebody too, that animals come in for that purpose. So let's do that, certain animals. But they still got to treat them well, and they've still got to kill them correctly. Don't make them torture them. You know, we don't realize that.
Well, there's certain kinds of meat, and I guess maybe they like massage the cow and like feed them beer or special beverages to like have, and I guess that maybe does make the difference.
It makes a difference if you're going to go that route, and I still do eat certain things, you know, but if you think about what they can do and the way they even inject them with stuff to make them fatter. Common sense tells you this is not good for you. Then guess what? Suddenly some pill comes out and someone's making millions because they're selling a pill that you should not have had in the first place if you hadn't eaten that animal.
I'm pretty sure we're not that safe eating the plant-based foods because the additives that they put into
exactly.
it to make it taste good.
I was just saying that to Dawn. You've also got to be careful when you eat plant food too. I mean, are we going to go around like this all the time? No. But I know that I have to be careful because I'm allergic to a lot of this stuff. As you are too, Dawn. There's a reason for that too. It's interesting. I mean, you can't spend your whole life looking at labels and things, but the thing is, if you know about it, you're not even going to want it anymore. You don't want it. I have never really taken many pills in my life. I didn't even understand when I was younger that I didn't, but for some reason I just, well, I was okay. I didn't have to take anything.
All right, we got 3 minutes, Sally.
Okay. Well, okay, give me
another question.
Yeah, one quick question.
Freddie, you have a quick question before we wrap
I
it
got
up?
one.
Okay.
So if you could broadcast a 3-word message out into space to communicate with the extraterrestrial, what would it be?
Good question. First word would be help. Okay. The second would be we're going to be scared, but they know that. So just go easy on us. Show us in a nice way. I'm more than 3 words, but yeah, just go easy. But they're very aware of that. They're very aware of what we're going through. They're very aware that our planet is controlled. So they're here to help. But there are some that aren't. So enjoy life. I can't say take at least pills that you know, do what you want to do, what feels good for you. That's what we need to do. What feels good. Not necessarily is good sometimes, but you know, we still got to enjoy ourselves.
It's good to have you back.
Yeah, it's kind of good to be back. I wasn't sure I could do this.
You can totally do it.
So this time next week, I'll be here. Tune in. We're here. Thank you. And thank you, you know, thank you guys too, Freddie and Dawn, and everybody, and thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Nice seeing you again, Jay. And of course, thank you to Steve. And thank you to my audience. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Barnard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybarnard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at 2:30. Have a blessed day.